Hi everybody, welcome to the Sunday Gold stream. Nice to have you all here. And today I'm going to be playing Sunday Gold and talking about the patch notes, about the patch that was released yesterday. Because we think that it made the game significantly better, so hopefully you all feel the same way. And I'm going to describe a bit what we changed and how it affects the game. So let's get started. And also, if you're in the chat, feel free to chime in and say hi. And if I sound weird, let me know as well. We didn't. It's kind of a rush to set up everything before we got started. So I'll keep playing from the start of chapter 1 that we played last week during the release. Thank you. And yeah, let's get going with some of chapter 1, but I don't want to spoil anything, so we're gonna keep it simple and see the early game again, because it feels like we don't want to jump in too late in the game and start spoiling stuff. Just a reminder that the game is available right now. It's on Steam. I think it's still on sale. I should have checked before, but I didn't have time. And maybe our lovely chat attendant, well, not attendant, but assistant in the chat, could fill us in to remind me if the game is still on sale, please. And yeah, let's start playing a bit. We'll see how everything, well, let's just see how everything changed. So if we look at the skills, tech, hack, okay, we'll see it at level 2. So let's go to the security terminal and hack the security terminal. Frank asks Gavin like how his thing works. Maybe we could have been more explicit, because a lot of feedback says that it's complicated.
Okay.
We'll see.
You need to be careful though. I only get a few attempts before the system.
Gavin only gets a few attempts, so now we have to try hacking the security terminal with the hacking minigame, which I play with the keyboard because it's really satisfying. So I'm gonna try all ones. See that there's one of the ones that is good and in the right place, but we don't know which one, because the little indicators don't tell you that, oh, the top left one is the first one. No, it's one of the ones that is good. So let's try with the first one, since we're going to be methodical about this. So now we see that at least one of the digits is good, and two of them good and in the right position, as the information at the top of the screen tells us. And one of them, or two of them, are correct, but in the wrong position. So let's assume that 1, 2, 2 are, well, they're not going to be correct. So let's go with 2, 1, 2, and 5, since that's one of the other digits that we have. Still not good. Okay, so one of the 2's is in the right place. The 1 is still not right. So it's 2, 2, 1, 6, maybe? I think we're on the right track. So 2, 2, 6, 1, possibly. And that was good. Success. So again, welcome everybody to our little patch notes stream, because we released a day 3 patch basically. So I want to kind of discuss what we changed, and once, let's say, we're about 15 minutes in, I'll start talking about the new patch. For now, I'm going to play a bit. So I reloaded my save from early in chapter 1 to kind of get going, because we've seen the prologue a lot. Like, if you've been to a couple of the streams, you've seen the prologue. And we're not tired of it, but we want to see some new stuff. So now we have unlocked the surveillance terminal with Gavin's hacking skill, and we can access it to see the computer interface and kind of try to go disable the security cameras, which is our objective that's on the screen when we're not in the computer terminal interface. So surveillance system can disable the cameras, and here we go. Cameras are disabled, so good job. I can exit the interface. And then it's done. Well done, Gavin. Now he's really satisfied, and we'll be good to go into the lift. Because the last thing criminals want is to be seen on cameras and recorded for posterity to, I don't know, get the tapes passed around to other security guards saying, oh, look at those bozos. And now, okay, so Frank's being snarky, and then Gavin levels up, and we'll see one of the first changes from the new patch in his skill tree when we open the skill tree right now. So now we see that overload, instead of doing a percentage of the target's health in damage, it now does like a basic value of damage. So it's better controllable for us, so that we don't automatically, we're not kind of in an issue where, you know, if we do 5% of the target's total health and damage against an enemy that has 100 hit points, that's 5 damage. That's really bad. Gavin could have just like punched the enemy and it would have done more damage. But when we get to the bosses with thousands of hit points, 5% of their total health and damage is a lot of damage. And then that ability kind of scales terribly at first and then goes insane towards the end. So we kind of reined it in with a flat value of damage, which is still pretty significant because you're going to be able to one-shot enemies early in the game, which is fine because they're basic enemies. You know, they're there to be killed. But later on in the game, you're not going to be hitting a certain end boss for, let's say, 4,000 damage in a hit. So I think that's a positive change because it allows us to create a better challenge without giving an obvious exploit that just everybody kind of, oh, I don't want the challenge, exploit. And that kind of ruins the tension at the end of the game. Additionally, the overload becomes more accurate as you put skill points in it, and also its chance to stun increases as you put skill points into the ability, if I remember correctly. Never mind. No, the accuracy goes up. That's it. Chance to stun is still at 50%. My bad. And hi everybody joining us in the chat. It's nice to have people to chat with. Feel free to say hi. You can speak French as well if you have questions in French, or if you want to say hi in French. And today I'm discussing the patch notes and playing some of Chapter 1 in the game, which is available right now on Steam. And hopefully people have tried it so far, and if you feel like giving comments, try not to spoil the game too much, please, because maybe some people haven't played it. And hi, Level Up Coffee, nice to meet you, and you might be from Montreal, bonjour, hi. And okay, so now we've seen one of the changes that has Quebec, nice. That has a pretty big impact on the entire the ending of the game. Basically, the final boss fights against cybernetic enemies. No spoilers too much. Not too many spoilers, hopefully. But the cybernetic enemies at the end of the game were kind of really easy to defeat because you could just like overload, and then they're probably dead by that point. And also, to make the final fights more interesting and challenging, you can't stun the bosses anymore. So all bosses are now immune to stuns. So if you maybe kind of got through the final battle with EMP grenades, just stunning all the time, that's not going to be working anymore. But the main boss is always immune to stuns, but if they have allies or cronies or, I don't know, pets, they are not immune. They are still vulnerable to stuns because they're not the main target. So that's some of the changes that we've made. And let's keep playing a bit. So now I have to go download the data in the IT office. And also just wondering if people in the chat, if you have any questions, feel free. But if you played the game and you have some feedback, or you liked it, or you liked some parts more than others, or I don't know. Try not to spoil anything, but I'm open to taking feedback. Hopefully it's positive or constructive. Like, fingers crossed. Okay, so I'm out of action points, and I'm in a not great place health-wise, so I'm gonna level up Sally's medic skill to get some patch-up boosts, and I'm gonna heal Frank and then end the turn because Frank is in a bad place. He's all bloody on his picture over here. 26 hit points, nice. And then I can end the turn and hopefully not get into a fight. Nice. Kind of slipping by the guards. Okay, so let's lay low. Now everybody's back to full action points. Your alert level goes up, and now we can maybe explore a bit and see if we find some cool stuff. I kind of like voluntarily skipped all that Hello, Misty Boss. Nice to see you. I kind of skipped some of the exploration with the treasures that in the launch day stream, but now I'm gonna get the first aid kit with Sally because that's one of the cool little features of the game. We have gear that we haven't found anything yet, so now we have Sally's first aid kit over here, which gives her an extra skill level for patch up. So if you don't put points in patch up and you equip the first aid kit, she's gonna be at level 2 in patch up just by virtue of having the first aid kit on her. But if you put skill points in patch up, she's gonna be like the skill points that you put in +1. So you can go over the 4 like skill maximum that's usually there. And then now patch up's at skill level 4 because I put in 2 points and I was at level 1 before, and +1. So now I get extra healing from it, and if I put an extra point that goes beyond the normal cap of level 4, I get the 25 to 35% health restoration of the target's total health, which is pretty helpful. And now Frank can keep searching a bit. I'm gonna look through this locker over here. Maybe I'll find something good. Oh ho, body armor and stimulants. So let's go into Frank's inventory and get the gear, and that's another gear category. So now we have Sally that has an enhancement item, basically something that boosts her skills or abilities in any kinds of ways. And Frank that has armor with a U because we're in the UK, and that has light body armor that reduces the damage he takes but makes him slightly less nimble, so he's going to be slightly worse at avoiding attacks, but he's going to take less damage overall. So it's a trade-off. There's different kinds of body armor throughout the game, and gear as well. What could I look for in here? What's in this locker? Oh, just a bottle of booze and a couple of stimulants. So is that a party brewing there? Maybe Gavin or Sally could look through the medicine cabinet because there's some good stuff in there. Take these and this too. So lots of medicine for Sally. And to everyone in the chat, wondering if you've tried the game, if you're just interested in what you're seeing, just to let you know that it's available on Steam right now. Launched last Thursday. Was a big day for us. Really exciting. And now we're excited to have people trying the game and seeing how it feels, and if they played the story, if you've enjoyed the experience. So just really curious about all that. But there's a lot of other stuff that we can look at in this room. Can look at, let's say, Hogan Telecom poster. Just some feedback about how they're connecting the world. Now I'm gonna go download the data in the IT office. So let's get out in the maintenance room. We're going to the car park, and we're gonna see. Okay, now the lift is, the coast is clear to get to the 19th floor, so we're gonna go there.
All right, Gab. Which floor?
And now we can go to the 19th floor, to Gavin's office. And just a reminder that the game launched last Thursday, and yesterday we got sort of the day 1 patch in, but day 3, business day 3 patch in, to kind of tweak some aspects of the game that we had seen kind of in the lead up to the launch, and we kind of wanted to make sure that the patch was solid, it wasn't broken, or wasn't gonna kind of crash the game. So that's why there's a big process, and the process is successful, and we got the patch in yesterday, and it tweaks different things in the game because we maybe had forgotten a couple of typos, so we fixed those. Just subtly in the game, we fixed a couple of typos. The hacking minigame, which kind of is a snag for people, so we adjusted the instructions to be clearer that the dots don't represent a specific number, they represent like globally what's happening in your guess. So we tweaked the instructions a bit. We also raised the level cap to 15. So initially we were stopping. Nice, thank you, Level Up Coffee. Yeah, it's really stylish, and just gonna go through this dialogue over here, and then Frank smells something. So that's Frank's kind of grossed out face a bit, like, oh, this is not good. And then Gavin's grossed out face, oh no. Yeah, I think the entire team, from the art direction to the artists to making it all come together, did a great job of giving the game a really stylistic aesthetic,
Oh shit!
and making it all come alive based on initial concepts of just like an office, basically. And then we made all that cool stuff happen with visuals and animation and effects and sounds and everything. So yeah, Gavin is not feeling this job anymore, so he's gonna
Let's just keep
start
going.
freaking out a bit. So he's not in a good place. And now Gavin, as the tutorial explains, Gavin's kind of the wild card. He's kind of like, he doesn't have all that much composure, so he's prone to stressing out and panicking, so that can lead to negative consequences in bad situations. So we kind of have to deal with that, because now Gavin's in his panic mode, so we hear his inner dialogue of panic and self-doubt, and his little portrait over here is kind of glitching out, and yeah, that's not very good right now. So that's a scripted moment, but it happens later on in the game on its own. If you get a big stress hit, so let's say you're performing actions in the exploration that lead to stress, Gavin might just start panicking as a result of these actions. Yeah, as I was saying, the level cap was set to 10 initially, and now we raised it to 15. So because people were kind of hitting the level cap, let's say a couple of hours before the end of the game, so that led the ensuing fights, the fights afterwards, to kind of not have that much meaning, because you just fought stuff and gained no XP from it. So now you can keep gaining XP, and you're gonna get small stat buffs as you level up on your way to 15. We adjusted, as a couple of typos, the hacking minigame instructions, and we found a couple places that didn't have the magic fingers action when you can hack something. So we added the magic fingers action as a kind of a bypass for the hack if you want to invest action points in it. It costs more than doing the hack, but it gives you the option to just skip the hack. Maybe we're prescient about just finding out that people were kind of hitting snags on the hacking minigame. So now we can heal Frank for more than earlier, 26, because he still doesn't have all that much hit points. And just, again, hi everybody in the chat. Feel free to ask questions, comments, say hi. It's fun to have people to chat with. And yeah, so also, what else did we do? We tweaked the bosses to be immune to stuns, and as kind of we lessened the punishment on attacks that, let's say you use a slashing attack against an enemy that's resistant to slashing, then instead of doing half damage, it does 80% damage. So you're not punished for having the wrong type of weapon. Hello, Ricefall. Nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. And yeah, you're not punished as much for having the wrong kind of weapon, because sometimes you just don't really know what kind of fight you're getting into, and that can kind of lead to situations where, oh no, everybody's got a bad weapon type, and then I'm gonna be doing half damage for a long time against this enemy. So you're still doing less damage. You could do more damage if you had the proper type, or a non-resistant type of weapon, but it's still not going to be as punishing. So nice. Somebody's happy about the level cap increase. Awesome. We're doing stuff for people. Yeah, level up coffee. Yeah, I'm just getting in here assuming that people know what the game is about. But yeah, it's an adventure game, point and click style, where you're exploring environments, solving puzzles, kind of advancing the story with these objectives over here in the corner. So you have to go do this. So there's an explanation of why you're doing it. There's a narrative throughout the whole thing, with a layer of JRPG combat when you're encountering enemies. So you're kind of criminals breaking into different places as the game progresses. Right now we are in the headquarters of a multinational corporation headed by this fellow over here, Kenny Hogan, that says that, you know, that's his business and he's super rich. And yeah, Gavin used to work there. So you break into the headquarters, and since you're not supposed to be there, there's a tension element where they won't just let you like casually stroll through the building and just I'm solving puzzles. Hello, guards. So the guards are trying to stop you and different enemies as the game progresses. So to have this tension element, there's combat when you're encountering enemies, or you just run into people, or they find you, or situations that the game sets up that we set up. I'll just turn that a bit. Okay, so that we set up in the game. So there's confrontation and combat. So that's the second kind of layer over the whole thing. And it's very narrative driven. So I kind of compared it to a sort of heist thriller movie where you're going through these situations. The characters, in this case, Gavin is starting to freak out because he's seen some bad stuff. Like, that's one of his former colleagues' office that's covered in blood right now. So that's probably not good. It's not good. And just a hint, it's not good. So it leads to something bad afterwards. So now we kind of discover all that with the characters. And the stress mechanic leads to situations in the exploration. But when you're in combat, the stress mechanic of the characters puts stress on the player because you're kind of... There's a timing system that appears. So if you don't act before the time runs out on the character's panic meter, they're going to act on their own and kind of do something kind of out of your control. So Gavin's going to cower and just, oh no, I can't fight. I don't want to be there. And he freaks out. And Sally is more of a muscle lady, so she's going to start punching left and right. Nice. Hello, Panos. Nice to see you again. And yeah, I remember in the launch day stream, like Panos at some point just like, okay, I'm out. I'm going to go buy the game and play it. See ya. Nice. Okay, already ready for a sequel, so I'm gonna pass that over to my bosses. Yeah. Yeah, we're in Quebec City, so we're not, like, we're a Quebec City company, published by Team 17, by the way, a great partner from the UK. So that's, like, a big collab with Canadian Media Fund, or Canada Media Fund. Volta, that did some, well, the cool like 2D art that we've seen in the game, all the hand-drawn stuff really looks amazing, and that's Volta's kind of thing where they made the art. Yeah, we're not like, I'm not announcing a patch today and saying like this is the entire thing that we're gonna tweak. If something comes up that's people are still not super stoked about this situation, we can look at balancing stuff for adjusting values. We still have that bandwidth to work on, but yeah, just happy that you're happy with the level cap increase, and I think you're gonna enjoy because there's more patch notes coming. We adjusted the bosses mostly because the bosses, we felt like they were very grindy but not all that threatening. The main kind of challenge became kind of just lasting through the whole fight in the kind of following the pattern. So we kind of beefed up the bosses where they're stronger and more dangerous, but we toned down their hit points in a lot of cases. So we adjusted their attack patterns a little bit so that they're more of a threat that's more intense but not as long, so it's not as grindy. So hopefully you will all try it and try the bosses and see that, get that same feeling, because it's a more intense experience but kind of less long. Because a lot of comments that we got, and when we played it, we felt it as well, where, okay, this boss is taking a long time, but never really putting me kind of in danger, so we're trying to up the danger factor and reduce the grindy factor. And yeah, when you meet, let's say, a certain giant monster dog at some point in Chapter 2, he's kind of a lot more threatening right now, because you can't stun him anymore, which you could before, and that kind of ruined the whole experience. And he can get pretty mean as opposed to before, so we kind of upped his damage a lot, and I think it's going to be a cooler experience for everybody. Yeah, the patch notes came out yesterday, but the patch came out yesterday as well. So everything's in the game right now. The version I'm playing right now has these changes, and everybody has them because I'm playing the Steam version. So if you're looking at Gavin right now and you see that overload doesn't do percentage damage anymore, it does flat damage. That's the current version. Yeah. So yeah, you can see that it affected the game a bit. If you've played it yesterday or today, the changes were in. So yeah, Sunday Gold's a bit meaner now. And Panos, before you go back to sleep, okay, I'll keep people over here informed about merch for the game because I think the visuals speak for themselves. That this is awesome, and having that on a shirt or soundtrack or art book, I think would be a nice option. So I'll really pass that along to the decision people over here because I make games. I don't do business decisions. So I'll just pass that along, and I think you're probably going to be happy about that in let's say a couple of weeks, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, I'd like to have some merch as well. I have the T-shirt that basically everybody on the team got, but yeah, I'll pass that along to the audio team as well. The team from PVL Studio that worked with us on making the game sound the way it sounds. The soundtrack and also the songs in the pub that are from the band Burleywood that just gave us access to putting them in the game. I think we should probably put that out somehow. See, again, there's some rights things that is for business people in the company, but if there's demand, I think we could probably put something out somewhere to give people access to all the audio or the visuals. What else is there? Yeah, just the typos, the hacking minigame. Yeah, keep us informed. Yes, whenever there's something big coming up, we'll put that out on Discord. We'll probably have an announcement on the Steam page if people see that, or on socials, basically Twitter and Facebook. Sunday Gold Game, that's our thing. So we'll keep you posted over there. Cool. Well, yeah, just keep a lookout. I think there's going to be stuff coming out soonish, I think. Again, that's not my decision, but if we can make cool merch that people want to wear and just like, oh, it looks awesome and it kind of promotes the game at the same time, so I think it's a win-win for everybody. How many people worked on it? Yeah. There's credits that are accessible in the main menu, but yeah, just the studio is roughly 120 people. It's been a while since I've seen everybody because we went remote and we got some new colleagues from all over the country and different countries. So it's kind of hard to assemble people all in one place. But the studio is about 120 people. People that worked on the game internally, probably a bit around 40 to 45, roughly, from an estimate. But the core team was about 20 to 25 people on a basically full-time basis for quite a bit of time. It takes a long time to make games. Took a lot of time to make that one as well. And let's see. Trying to think, but there's a lot of people in the credits because we have the core team that works on the game on a day-to-day basis, but then there's all the management at the studio. There's like the support staff. The IT staff doesn't work specifically on the game, but let's say something breaks, somebody's computer kind of craps out, there's people to help, and we need a setup to test the game. Then we call the IT people that help us set up a server somewhere, or I don't know, infrastructure to make everything happen. And what else can I talk about? Yeah, then there's the people at our publishing company, Team 17. They have a big team of support people to, well, first of all, test the patches to make sure that they don't explode the game. To like marketing, there's internal marketing as well. Then there's the audio people. There's the voice actors that are doing an awesome job, both in English and Canadian French. So if you're Quebecois like me, or I don't know, just interested in listening or hearing how we speak terrible French, you can pick up the game and switch it to French, Canadian, and there's an entire voice acting package that's all French Canadian voices and the English voices as well. And the text is translated to a bunch of different other languages. It's all in the drop down in the options. And yeah, they all sound great. Sally's awesome, and I really like. Well, Frank I think sounds really cool as well. I think they all sound cool, but I think Frank has this fits the character, fits the visuals, both in French and in English. It's really super tight. Just like again, a little slice from the development. I was able to attend some of the voice recording sessions in French, and seeing the voice actors kind of really put some physicality in their lines and put some like emotion and kind of tweak the lines to make them really work great. Because you don't just put somebody in front of a mic and say like, here's a list of lines, say them. There's a director that does like, okay, just put some feeling in there at this place, at this point, like inflection there, and kind of tweak that line to kind of pause differently, or put that much emotion or anger or all these things. And then there's a technical people as well that just make sure that everything records properly. So like you think of little bits of the game and they're like, oh, this little thing that we see, and then it's like, oh, all these persons that have to work on that little thing to make sure that it's awesome. So yeah, it's a big accomplishment, I think. And also just like since we're chatting, and also hi everybody in the chat. If you're joining us right now, we are playing Sunday Gold today. It's out right now on Steam, available everywhere. I think it's still on sale as well. And we're talking, basically the game released last week, and we had a big patch come out yesterday with some gameplay tweaks, little bug fixings here and there, but mostly gameplay tweaks that kind of adjusted some of the kind of overpowered stuff or kind of game-breaking abilities, made the bosses more fun and challenging and kind of less grindy. That was some of the feedback that we got. So we acted on it. And just happy to have people in the chat to talk with. Just, yeah, we were talking about the size of the team and how complicated it is to make. Just as quick aside, I was lucky to go to a game jam this weekend. And we were a 5-person team that worked on a game that ended up functioning at the end of the game jam. So that's awesome. And it's a lot of work. And, you know, when you kind of boil it down to making, like, quickly in about 48 hours of work, creating a game from scratch, I think, and you see all the work that goes in there, and it makes a little game that's small and not polished and still a little bit buggy on the sides. And then you kind of go to a full-sized game experience like we released with Sunday Gold, where it's like not exponentially more work because all the ramifications of everything, how everything kind of interacts together, it's a ton of work. So we could probably end the turn because I think we have this like self-doubt over that's under my voice the whole time I'm talking. So let's kind of cut that out. Kind of get yourself together, Gavin. So now Gavin's freaking out a bit. Uh-oh, it's getting dark. No!
Why did you get me involved in all
Oh,
this?
now Gavin is in his kind of bad place with his portrait over here. And yeah, he asks Frank, like, why'd you get me in there?
Remember?
But Frank kind of tries to reason with him. And now you have different options to kind of try to calm Gavin down. Yeah, I'll get to your question in a couple of seconds, Ricefall. Just going to go through this dialogue and we're going to calm Gavin down a bit. So I don't remember which option is correct. So let's go with the kind of harsher... shut up, Gavin. And I'm going to slap you silly and leave you behind. Oh, I think Gavin didn't like that, and now we kind of turn on Frank, and now Frank's feeling bad. Well, I love answering questions. I was gonna kind of end the dialogue, but now, how did the idea for a turn-based RPG combined with a point-and-click game come up? Yeah. So let's go back to the very beginning. The people at Volta made some cool art with these characters and some of the concept art that we see in some of the newspapers. So if you go around the world a bit, you're gonna find some. We can look at this pamphlet. I think there might be something in there. Okay, that's later art, but still, they came to us with like, oh, we have this cool art that we made because they're a visuals art company basically. So we made this cool art. I think there could be a game in there, so they came to us and said like, do you want to collaborate and make a game with this? So we looked at the art and said like, oh yes, it's super inspiring. It's like it sets a mood with just images, still images in a PowerPoint document basically. And then we thought, okay, let's extrapolate. Like, what can we do with these visuals and start building a world around that? So we took the visuals, thought about it for a while. Then we thought, okay, it could make a cool adventure game where we kind of explore these environments that basically Volta will draw not for us, but with us. And we explore these environments and we solve puzzles and kind of progress through the game to tell a story. So the game's very narratively driven. There's all these dialogues and like all this kind of explanation for what's happening, especially in the mission log, but all over the place. If we look at the bulletin board, for example, there's some art in there. So I think that was that was probably the cover page of the initial document that Volta sent us, I think. Like the big, giant, luxurious manor, the big, like, ominous tower over there. That's all, like, elements that were in the visuals. So, just a sec. Okay, so we got all this art. We started thinking, okay, we're going to make an adventure game, but we want it to be modern and kind of have some tension in there. So the JRPG elements are all to build tension. So you kind of progress with your characters so that you're not always, let's say level 1, but the same basic character. So you unlock new abilities. You can customize your experience. So if you want to have Frank that's awesome at lockpicking, then you can put all the points in lockpicking and then some adventure skills for exploration or observation to find objects. You can tweak his different skills, or you can put them all in combat or a mix. So there's some like customization of your experience that you can kind of do. And to have tension, we wanted to have combat. So adventure games are not necessarily slow, but they're slower than, let's say, not first person shooters, yes, but real time games. So because you're doing your things on your time, so turn based combat in a JRPG style worked well, and that's kind of, they blended well together. So you don't have this super actiony combat. It's still, there's some action in there, but it's not the same kind of combat where you're going into full Twitch mode with a twin stick shooter or something. And it felt like they blended well together and created this experience. And it fits well with the comic book aesthetic also, where you have this kind of art style that is everywhere around the characters in the world. And then in combat and in exploration as well, you get these comic book panels or the action shots where when the characters perform special attacks, you get like this sort of anime style or comic book style. So I think that answers the question, hopefully. So now you can look at this over here. There's hints for different things that are happening in the game. And let's hack a computer, because I like the hacking minigame. This one's hard. So we have 6 digits, and now since Gavin is kind of losing it a bit, we only have 11 attempts. So let's start with ones. Oh, no ones. So none of the digits are good. So let's go with twos. No twos. Okay. Making progress, because no result's a result. And then all threes, there's only one of the threes that's in the right place. So let's assume it's the first one. We'll adjust as we go. Oh, it's not the first one, but there's no 4s. So that's 5, 3, 5, 5. Oh, 3 of them are good. So we can kind of assume that the 3 is in the right place. We're gonna have to replace one of the 5s. So that's 5, 3, 6, 5. Oh, not 5, 2. Damn, finger slip. Okay, 5, 3, 5, 6, maybe. And it's correct. Awesome. Now I have access to the computer. I can go look at what's inside. So now as you're exploring, you're gonna find some, well, computers, mostly in chapters 1 and 2, because the third chapter kind of changes the setting a bit, but not too much, and I won't spoil anything. So now you might find some hints, you might find some information about the world. Let's say that there's world lore that you can kind of discover by, let's say, looking at this email change. Oh, yeah, there's going to be another one. I'll hack another computer afterwards. So now you find an email from Emma that just like, basically they're talking about how they're going to have a big party for, Anchi, who's having a birthday. And they're going to have a Kings League party. Basically, they're going to watch sports together. And they're going to have fun. And they kind of, well, they're women, but they're kind of poking fun at each other. Like, yeah, the dog you're cheering for is never going to win. But, yeah, whatever. Just you're to sell it because you like our company's dog. I can go hack another one. Yeah, let's hack this one. So, okay, hacking. Basically, the system, you input combinations of 4 numbers, and the system gives you feedback in the form of little like colored lights. So you have green feedback. If there's a green light, it tells you that one of the digits is correct and in the right position. If you've played Mastermind, it's the basic system. So let's say I put in all ones and I get one green light. I know that one of the ones is correct and in the right position. So let's try all ones. Maybe. So now, because I get all 4 feedback lights, and they go a bit crazy when Gavin's starting to lose his composure. But when you get the red squares, we know that this digit is incorrect. So now we get 4 red squares. We know that all 4 digits are incorrect. So no ones. I can try all 2s. And now we know that because there's 2 green lights and 2 red lights, there's only 2 2s in the entire sequence. And because they're all 2s that we attempted, 2 of them are in the right place. So let's take a guess and think that maybe they're the first 2s that are okay. Oh, well, now that's some awesome feedback, because I've been told by the Hacker Boy Ultra that 2 of the 2s are correct. So we have 2 2s in the combination, but they're in the wrong place, because the yellow feedback tells you that it's there in the combination, but it's not in the right place. So luckily, in this case, I got 2 2s and 2 2 and 3 3, but now my 2s aren't in the right place. So let's try 4 4 2 2, and that was the correct combination. Would have liked a different combination, but yeah, I think we could make a tutorial for that if people are still hitting a blocker there. And just a reminder, yeah, I could have announced that before, but we'll have a Steam key for the game to give away in about 5 minutes before I end the stream, so stay tuned. And I'm going to ask a small question that's really simple, I think. So if you're there, if you don't have the game yet, or if you have it, you can give the Steam key to somebody else. So it's a cool gift. And just, yeah, I'm going to ask a question in a couple minutes. Okay, so I'm in the office. I'm going to go to Gavin's office because that's kind of our goal right now, but we're out of action points. So I'm going to, he's out of action points. I'm going to use Sally to heal Frank a bit because Frank's still all busted up. And Gavin also. And I'll be ready. Or I could use Frank's... No, he doesn't have Motivate yet because we're not at a high enough level. So let's... Okay. So now... Okay, now we've been not spotted, but the guards are looking for us, so now that's stressful, so it's taking a toll on everybody. So let's go and enter the code to Gavin's old office, but oh no!
hack into my own fucking office.
Now he's gonna have to hack it into his own office. Oh, more hacking opportunities. So now let's try all 2s. And no 2s. So let's try all 3s. And 2 3s. Okay, so let's say 4 3 3 4. Oh, okay. So 3 of the digits are in the right place, and 1 of them is incorrect completely. So it's probably going to be 5 3 3 4 or 4 3 3 5. So let's try 4 3 3 5. Aha, correct. Okay, so Gavin's locked out of his office, but not if he has anything to say about that. So now the door's open. We can enter the door. And yeah, just hi everybody in the chat again. We're gonna wrap up in a couple minutes, but yeah, we're gonna see some of Gavin being mad at his former colleague Steve, which again has no reflection on the Steve that you see in the credits. We love our Steve. This Steve, Gavin's Steve is a bad one though. He's not a good colleague. So Steve,
Calm down, Gab.
just calm down a bit. But no, he does not like can't abide Steve. So what will we do about that? And Frank kind of wants to get to the point because Frank's in it for the money. If you haven't seen the prologue, basically Frank's in money troubles, and they're trying to get some data that will hopefully be able to resell for basically to solve Frank's mob loan issues. So let's get to work. We need the password though, because Gavin, as a good IT guy, basically super secured his former work computer, his old work computer, and now he's not going to be able to hack through the protections. So yeah, it comes back to bite him in the butt. So what can we do now?
He'll have his password written down.
But Steve's kind of bad, so he's probably written down the password somewhere.
Let's do some snooping then.
Let's snoop around then. So now that refills some of the composure because we're making progress. Yes, if you know the password, the game doesn't check to know if you've seen it. So if you're replaying the game or you're a bad person and you're looking at walkthroughs, no walkthroughs. But yeah, whatever. If you know the password, you can just get in there and type it in, and it's gonna work. I could do that right now, but I'm gonna explore a bit because I want to look at Sally's minigame because I turned on the accessibility settings. So I think the minigame should be more manageable. Yeah. So okay, so Frank and Sally kind of explain the process.
Sure, it's all about
How does Sally
focusing
deploy her strength so well? So she meditates and kind of focuses, and she's able to kind of move stuff around easily. And now we can hold to start, and I think it's gonna tone down. Okay, so the accessibility settings make the game pretty easy, but that's cool because if you have, for any reason, seriously, if you want to make it easy, or if you have issues with like fine motor skills, or because that's significantly easier than the normal version, but that's fine because we want everybody to be able to play the game. And we didn't want people to like, oh, an adventure game, I like it, JRPG, fine, and then you get to the mini games and like, oh no, I can't physically do them, so it's super frustrating. And you know, if you play the game for an hour and then you get to a point where, oh, it's impossible for me to get through that, then that's not cool. And then Sally's kind of being pissy a bit at Gavin, and they discover something. That's Sally's kind of surprised face, and they discover that something's hidden inside the office. So we can look at the poster, and now Gavin's really interested about the Lady Shell poster. Currently, there's no difficulty levels for the combat. We were exploring that for a while, but then it kind of sidetracked us into doing like more content since, you know, time and money exist. And yeah, we kind of put that aside, but that's something that we could explore if we get enough feedback that, you know, combat's not, well, either combat's too easy or too hard. We could probably leave the game as it is, as medium, and then make it have a hard setting and an easy setting, or just easy or hard. But yeah, currently we only have like one standard difficulty setting for combat. So now they're talking about Lady Shell, who's kind of a virtual personality that exists in universe, because also they're in London in 2070, so it's kind of future speculative fiction about what happens in future society. So yeah, Frank's not too keen on influencers, but yeah,
They don't want the little people to hear.
Gavin's a big fan though. So now we see this poster over here, and yeah, it's probably going to be the last spoiler I give, but yeah, this now we know, because if we look at Steve's notebook, we can see that my goddess holds the key to my heart. That's kind of in 2070, yeah. Yeah, some of the feedback from the reviews that I kind of gathered as they were coming out was that the people in London were saying like, oh, this is supposed to be London 2070, but it looks kind of like London now. So hopefully we didn't do that good of a job predicting, what's going to happen in a couple of years, because our in-game London or future society is not that great of a place to live in, and it's kind of going downhill. So hopefully we're not gonna predict the future with the game. So there's still like 48 years to kind of rectify things, but yeah, hopefully we've looked at through darker lenses, and it's gonna be much nicer than that in the future. So now we can enter the computer. So this thing, so basically my password is fight for Eva. Oops, if I put it in the right place, it's gonna help. Over here. So I can hide it because I'm a good user, but now I have access to the computer now. So something happens when you try to access the files, and it leads to more kind of puzzles to solve and more things to do. But since we're about to wrap up, I'm going to ask a little question about the game. And just before the question, because I want to keep everybody tuned in, just a reminder that the game is out right now. It's on Steam for PC. You can pick it up. I think it's still on sale for a couple of days, maybe through the week, hopefully. Hopefully I'm not just talking crap and just pretending it's on sale, but it's supposed to still be on sale because it just released. And we had a big patch come out yesterday with some balancing tweaks and some gameplay tweaks to make the game just better in general and just improve the experience. So I invite you all to check it out. And now I'm going to do a little giveaway by asking a question about the game, which I think I like going through the database because we have a bunch of things in the database that just explain the concepts of the game. Basically, if you look at Sally, you can see a little bio about Sally, and you can see her 3D model kind of just idling there, looking around. You have Gavin with his little title where he's the unbalanced hacktivist. And we have Frank, who's the crew leader. So, yeah, just if you've been listening for the past 10 seconds, what's the full name of the unbalanced hacktivist in the group? I mean, that's an easy question. So, just for a Steam key of the game, which I think Sophie will contact you when you get the answer. So just put it in chat, like, what's the full name of the hacktivist in the group? And then we have Sally. Oh, Ricefall. Yes, success. So Ricefall, congratulations. I mean, it wasn't the toughest question, but still, congratulations on being the quickest. And I think, Sophie, if you're here, you will contact Ricefall with information on the Steam key, right? Hopefully Sophie's listening, but otherwise I'll take a note of your username. And oh, never mind, Sophie's on the ball already. Thank you. So yeah, I think that's gonna wrap things up for today. Congratulations, Ricefall, and thank you everybody for being here. It's super nice to have people to chat with and ask questions and answer all that stuff. And also we as the entire team behind Sunday Gold and Become Studios invite you all to check out Sunday Gold and just tell us how you feel. If leave a review if you liked it. If you didn't, leave a review if you want to. But Yeah, well, for now, I kind of felt like not exploring too much because we're still like 3 to 5 days after the game launched, so I don't want to spoil anything. But as the weeks go by, I think we're going to be able to explore a bit deeper in the game and discuss puzzles and kind of open the door to, let's say, hey, this week we're gonna talk chapter 1. So if you haven't played the game, maybe plug your ears. But we're gonna talk like, what did you like in chapter 1? What kind of puzzles did you run into? Well, what kind of puzzle? What puzzles did you prefer or challenged you or kind of you have questions about? So yeah, that's gonna be probably in the in the plans for the next couple of weeks. We'll see. We're kind of playing it by ear right now. And I think that'll be it for me. I didn't introduce myself at the start. I'm Felix at Become Studios, game designer. I worked on Sunday Gold alongside a whole bunch of talented people. And thank you all for being here. And I think that wraps it up. So have a great day, everybody. And we'll catch you again probably next week. So thank you all and have a good day.